everybody knew how like severe it was. You know, everybody kind of like heard about how horrible it was. So it was, especially the guys in the unit, they kind of know what happened. You know, they know what happened that night. Yeah. That was, that was one that I'll never forget. You know, and the one that definitely brought Sean and I. It's horrible what happened, but actually Sean and I became pretty close after that because, you know, him and I, lived through it, kind of supported each other through it.
It was only about 12 hours after the incident happened. You know, we talked about it. You know, I had already been exposed to a degree of what we had seen that night, working as a paramedic on the streets, you know, being down at ground zero. But he was a younger kid.
There were other guys there, but me and him went through it, especially the initial portion, went through it together. You know, we were watching each other's backs, helping each other understand what was going on.
That was probably the best thing that he and I did that night.
I remember our homecoming. I remember, just looking around and being like, wow, we all made it through this. You look to your left and look to your right, and there's always going to be those guys who like more than the others. I mean, that's normal. But I was happy for everybody.
You know, there's a crowd of a couple hundred people. And I don't know how I couldn't see my family. I couldn't, see through the sea of people that were there. But my little boy found me somehow. And as soon as I saw my son, because I felt a tug on my back and I turned around and saw him, I collapsed. I just reacted to everything differently from that point on.
3 weeks after I came home, I met my wife. We dated for a couple of years. This is my wedding album, my wife and I. This is at the church. So me and my uniform about to get married, and Dave's being my right-hand man. After meeting her, I finished college. Both my brother and I went to Rutgers. That's my brother and I. He decided he wanted to be a priest. I finished out Rutgers. Yeah, no, it's amazing. And I joined the Sheriff's Department in Hudson County. Did that for about a year and then took the state police test. And then it's where I am today. I'm married and state trooper.
My love.
I grew up in Kearney, New Jersey with my brother, my identical twin brother, David Santos. My parents are from Portugal. They're both from Portugal, so the same little fishing village. And they came over here in the 70s, and this is where we grew up.
He's coming almost every day. The time, when he's not working, he come stay with me, talk to me.
One thing I could definitely say about the way that my brother and I were raised, family's always number one. It's always something that kind of grounds you, keeps you relevant, to each other. My wife hasn't learned how to cook Portuguese style yet.
Yeah, so. And sometimes I cook for the boat.
Everything we did together as a family.
Yeah, I want my baby with me.
Every night we ate dinner together. It didn't matter what we were doing. It'd be 6 o'clock, 6:30, and if my brother and I were playing outside and we weren't back in time, my mother would be screaming the streets of Kearney to make sure that we were home in time for dinner. My brother and I decided to join the military together. I know that the catalyst for that was September 11th. I never really thought about what war was going to be like when we knew we were going to go into war. I kept an open mind about it, I guess. I kind of just, I prayed a lot, and I told, I had a conversation with God, and I told him, this is what I'm gonna do, and kind of help me out along the way.
Not confirmed. We got a guy in a vehicle confirmed with an assault rifle.
I think I was mentally prepared. I didn't know it at the time. Looking back, thank God it turned out the way it did.
I don't talk to Brian as much as I'd like to, or as much as I want to, you know, maybe a few times a year. But, you know, I remember telling him a couple years ago when I went off the deep end in a real bad way, what had happened, and, you know, told him about a heroin addiction that I had and that I was in treatment for it. And, you know, he was flabbergasted. And he said, I hope you don't mind me asking this, but what drives you to throw that spike in your arm to feel better? He's like, isn't that such a gamble? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how it came to the point where I became, you know, a heroin addict and an alcoholic.
Two soldiers may come back, and one appear to do very well when they return and integrate back to society, and another soldier, having the very same experiences, may struggle with their symptoms. Why that might be is not well understood. We believe that there are a number of factors that can help. Certainly some of them are individual differences, and certainly having a supportive family, having a supportive society, having a job, having goals in one's life can be very helpful, but it becomes important for them then to manage their symptoms effectively. And sometimes soldiers don't come to the realization that they need help for a number of years until they return.
After returning home from Iraq, starting in November of 2005, my life became a rapid spiral down.
Okay, so elevator, it's right to your right on the hallway when you go down.
Thank you. I quickly became a everyday drinker, blackout drinker. It almost seemed like as soon as my head got to a certain angle right before I hit the pillow, you know, all I could see and hear were flames. Auditory and tactile hallucinations from moments where I'll feel like soldiers are grabbing at my calves, my ankles as I'm running through the line. I'll feel like a soldier's grabbing my legs when I'm sleeping at night. Just went off the deep end. I was emotionally, spiritually, and physically withdrawn from family, friends, society. I felt like I was a walking carcass. If I tell anyone here exactly how I feel, they want to lock me up. Because do I think about suicide? Fuck yeah, I do. I think about it every day, almost with every week. Am I gonna act on it? No. And I tell people that, well, I think we should do more screening. No, it's like, it's just how it is. In the past several years since I've been home, my mother and I have had a less than adequate relationship. We've grown apart. I isolated and secluded myself from her. She was the first one to tell me, you know, you're not the same. You know, she became so rapidly sick. Just in, you know, the past couple weeks, I don't know how to say goodbye and have that goodbye encompass a heartfelt thank you. Some form of amends. You know, life wasn't so easy growing up with a single mother. She did everything she could. She helped out with the kids when I was overseas so much. She would always send care packages, always went out of her way. And she was just so proud to have a soldier as a son. You know, I just didn't anticipate as being part of the grieving process for my mother, having my children involved. And I never had a good process with my grandparents and the people that I loved and lost over the years. I tried to make losing my mom in the grieving process of losing a grandmother for my children the most beautiful experience as I could, as best possible for them. Leading them into the room, leading in prayer, holding her hand, just forcing ourselves to say what we could say. Held her hand constantly and just tried to make up for 31 years in 96 hours.
It's kind of strange because I try to think about like the little details, you know, trying to think about like how certain things went, but I really don't remember too much, you know. I just remember certain instances, definitely smells. I think I try and like look at things on the positive end, like you know how awesome it was the way that Sean reacted, how good of an example there was of leadership. I don't know if it has damaged me. I almost feel bad like saying that it hasn't, because you know how could it, but I don't know. I mean, I would like to attribute it to like my relationship spiritually, you know, with God. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it has. Who knows where I'm gonna be in a couple years, but I think if I could attribute it to anybody or to anything, I would definitely say it was my family. You know, I came back automatically, you know, hey, if you need to talk to us about anything happened that you want to talk to us about, almost like a counseling system, you know, something that you would definitely see on outgoing briefings and stuff. Like the Army was good with that, but it's hard to talk to a stranger sometimes. And my parents, you know, my family knew that, and always being that support system. I feel very fortunate because, you know, and like you said, sometimes, like, you know, it's kind of crappy feeling sometimes because you feel wondering what's going on in someone else's life and why is it, you know, what are you doing that they aren't, or they're doing that you aren't, you know. I feel very fortunate. I feel very blessed.